folks, welcome back to the Motorcycle Garage. We've got some actual bike content planned for today. So, looking over my left shoulder, you can see the XS750 engine. Now that's on the cheap piece of shit build bike, which is actually turned into a little bit more than that, and the original time frame's extended past. So, with that engine sat there, I have had top end vapor blasted, bored out cylinder block, so it's now 826cc I think. But there was just a niggle. Anyone remembers one of the previous videos I've done on this? I've forgotten, it was a while ago, but there's a niggle around that engine. When I bought that bike originally, the engine wasn't seized, but one of the valves was bent and got a new valve and everything else, but there was just always that niggle in the back of my head as to what kind of status is that engine in. So it's halfway apart already. Having ran through a few scenarios of putting the thing back together, getting it all painted and it's still not running right, I would quite like to just take the opportunity to develop my skills a little bit further and take the whole engine apart and get the bits sent away for vapor blasting, so I can then reassemble and complete it. That'll allow me to have a look at the second gear issue that these bikes tend to suffer, and just generally get a better feel for the engine, have a look at the bottom end, see how it's been sat. I'm pretty sure I've left it with oil in it, I hope. Hopefully the inert environment has left it in a nice place so that I've actually not got any surprises, but I don't really know for sure. So this episode is just going to be me stripping this thing down, taking a look at bits and pieces, boxing it up, everything else. So I'm just going to be looking at the manual, I'm going to be stripping it apart. This may or may not be useful for people. I'm not going to go super in depth with this engine because I'm learning it as I go through this as well. So I don't want this to be a how to strip and rebuild an XS750 engine. It may ultimately end up that way, but disclaimer, I'm literally finding my feet with this at the same time. So we'll get that looked at, get the camera set up and get stripping the engine. One more thing I want to show you. Knowing that I was going to be stripping the engine, I made a little impromptu purchase of a nice Milwaukee. I've actually got an impact ratchet as well, 12 amp one, that I purchased just before Christmas, and I saw this one was on offer, used the same batteries. So this is the 2 ampere batteries, we've also got 5 ampere batteries, so really looking forward to using this. I see my friend Ewan Shugley Shed using them all the time, so yeah. Is it lazy? Possibly. Do I give a shit? Absolutely not. So let's get on with it and see how we get on. What a tricky little bastard that was. This one came free, but it rounded off. This one needs a bit of love, but I think once this is off and out the way, I can get that by going in this way, so I'm not that arsed. Alright, that's all these Allen bolts on this side. I'll try and flip the engine round. Flip the engine round and have a look at the other side. So I need some kind of hub puller. I've not got one, annoyingly, so this might be me for tonight on this. The other option is, apparently, if I get a longer version of the bolt which holds it on, I think that pushes in past the alternator itself and braces off, and it starts to pull this out, I believe. However, it's M10, but it's an M10 fine thread, which I've not got. However, I do have the lathe, so I may be able to whip something up where I can cut M10 fine. That might be a good... I don't want to get sidetracked on something if I can just pick up an M10 fine thread or a hub puller. But if I'm in a bind, then there's always other ways and means. But that's quite late now on a Friday night, so I'm just going to go in. But it's been pretty successful so far. Got one half of the engine off, got all the bits and pieces out, the gubbins out. So yeah, this is going pretty good. I'm just enjoying it so far. It's nice just to kind of get head around stuff that you know what it is, but just getting up close and personal with it is rather interesting. So for a nerd like me, so let's pick this up at another point. Okay, I've managed to get a shot of a hub puller, which hopefully gets this off and allows us to continue. Luckily, the guy who bored it up says it's a cheap hub puller, so if I need to modify it in any way, then I can do so to try and get this off. So we'll try that first, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it works. Okay, something that was causing me a bit of concern was just how much play there was in the primary chain. So the crankshaft drives this, and I've seen it online. I saw people before that had made tensioners, but to be honest, from what I've heard, if you can touch the top of the crankcase body, or this, yeah, the actual body with the chain, then there's enough slack in it to probably merit it getting changed. So I think it's probably a good bit of due diligence there just to get that changed out. I think they're about £100. I found one online. Still quite punchy, to be honest, but I think whilst we've got it all apart, it's a worthwhile thing to do. I'd like to think that that's just stretching the chain because of the design of the chain potentially, rather than something untoward happening. If it did bend a valve, well, it did bend a valve, we know that for a fact. I'd already changed that out. Could that have been enough? Potentially. I'm just trying to think why that would feel that down in the primary chain. I need to have a little think about that, but regardless, it's probably worth changing now that I've got this far into it. So I'm going to get this off, get this bit off, get this off, follow the rest of the instructions and see how we get on. Just got a random weeknight, just chipping away at it. So a few more time lapses, here we go. Woo! Okay, been a few days since we have done anything on the engine, but got a free afternoon, so just gonna get the got my impact driver back, so some tricky bolts and everything. So we'll just try and get the last few bits in this sorted. So that's final few bits on the gearbox to take out. Maybe just take a minute just to clear this workspace, because the usual shit seems to accumulate and tripping up over tools, but we'll get that cleared up. And then, yeah, we'll get the crankcases split, hopefully. Get a good look at the crankshaft inside, and anything else. I think looking at the actual Haynes manual, we're not too far from the finish line in terms of getting it stripped. I guess the halfway point almost. So we'll yeah, check in again. Got a new light here for my GoPro and recording, so hopefully that improves some of the shots that we see. And yeah, let me know how you think. Maybe it's better, maybe it's too bright in my glasses. I don't really know. Figure it out. This is where I need to be super organised. So they've split quite nicely. To be honest, a quick look at it doesn't suggest there's anything untoward, which is fine. That's exactly what I thought. With the bottom part of the engine, obviously minus all that shite that was in the sump. But just for my own records and this video, I've just gone numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, so I can keep all the shells, bearing shells together. Same with this here. So I just need to be really organised and keep them. So I've got 4 bags. Just seems a bit wasteful for the 4 bearings, but I really just don't want to mess this up. Then the next thing I need to do is find somewhere just to put this. So I've got some new, this one's not new, but I've got some new cloths as well that I'll wrap that up in, microfiber cloths, just to keep the crank free. So initial feel in that, I'm going to get some feeler gauges, see what any specs that I need to adhere to in the manual, but there's no excessive play really, which is nice. And then obviously the no scoring really. I don't see any scoring, but I'd quite like to just get this cleaned up, have a little look at it, get the shell bearings, get a good look at them, and then just continue with taking bits and pieces out, and then forgetting how it all goes back together again. So yay, good fun. But yeah, we're getting there. I'll just set another time lapse up. I'm not the correct person to be
the authority here for trying to get these things back together and strip them. So again, we'll just work through this methodically, see if there's anything that needs to be discussed. I think when we get into the nitty gritty further down underneath, deep into the gearbox, I think that's where that second gear resides. You can get a little look at that as well. But yeah, it's progressing nicely. Okay, so may have skipped the last little bit of that video, I'm afraid. I just was out here one night and I just had to get the gearbox, all the gears out. So that was actually more straightforward than I thought it was going to be, getting the gears out. So I've got my two crankcases now. There's one or two sub-assemblies that need to be stripped down. Essentially though, we're in a good place now to get this sent for vapor blasting. However, my vapor blaster has gone out of business, which is a bit of a shame. So I need to find someone else to get things done locally up here. So watch this space. We'll get this thing, these engine cases sent apart. Whilst we do that, I can figure out some of the investigative work that needs to be done now that it's all apart. Some of the checks, get a few of the bits ordered in terms of the primary chain, any other ancillaries, any some nuts and bolts. Yeah. Oh god, I'm getting a phone call. Okay, as I was saying, we are final stages. Some measurements, get some new bolts, get some new consumables that I think that I need, and we'll pick this up once I've got a bit of a better plan as to what we're doing on this one. In the meantime, I've had some bits arrive for this one. Most importantly, the bit is the, what do you call it, CDI unit. So I think the CDI unit's fried in this, so it'd be nice to try and get that rigged up and get that running. And frustratingly, there's a few bits in this engine that need resolved, such as an exhaust stud that is snapped off as well. So out with one and then figure out what we're going to do. Anyone's got any tips? I need to have a look, I've not looked at anything, but if anyone's got any tips for gasket that's welded on, I'm all ears. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Apart from that, yeah, all good. Sorry it wasn't a very interesting video. Some of you may find it interesting. If you want me to try and focus on anything on the reassembly, then let me know. I'm still finding my feet with this, obviously, so don't take me as some kind of expert, please. Disclaimer. Maybe if it runs again you can ask me some more questions, but apart from that, I'll call this video for now. So like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and we'll catch you in the next video. See ya.